Should cell phones be allowed in classrooms? Now, when my mother heard this topic, she thought, this is so obvious. Of course, the answer should be no. Whoever uses a cell phone in a classroom is an idiot. But in a sense, there are some sides to this debate. As a result, we're going to go ahead and talk about both sides of the debate today. There are two sides, as there is two sides to a coin, as there is two sides to a bottle cap, as there are two sides towards a piece of paper, and so on and so on. Let's get this started with. Now, let's start out with the first point from the pros team. Now, these guys say that the cell phones can be useful a teaching tool. Now, of course, arguably, you don't need a cell phone to do that. You can always use an iPad or a computer or a laptop to do all that, but cell phones can be very useful when it comes to teaching tools. And yeah, I think teaching tools are the best way to use cell phones inside the classrooms, at least. And now for the first point of the cons team. Now, the cons team go ahead and say that students who don't have cell phones will go ahead and feel that they are being left out. And when people feel left out, that's not always a good sign, mainly because, well, that will lead to cyberbullying, and we will see what cyberbullying is later. When people feel left out, they are socially isolated, and when they're socially isolated, they go ahead and they're, well, depressed. And now for the second point of the pros team, it's that, well, cell phones allow all these students over here to go ahead and to learn all sorts of new facts so quickly. And when people go ahead and learn new facts so quickly, there is something about it that is sort of wrong, but at least it is easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Alright, and now for the second point of the cons team, I'm going to go ahead and say that this second point is that kind of one of the most useful ways and ingenious ways cell phones have been used. Cell phones can be used inside the classrooms to cheat. Well, there are other ways to go ahead and use cell phones to cheat. Well, you may be required to go ahead and put them into your lockers if your school does not permit you to go ahead and use cell phones, but you will probably hide it in your pocket, probably hide it from teachers. They are really bad at depth perception. Go to the bathroom in the middle of a test and go ahead, Google up all the answers. Here's a how to cheat guide. Firstly, finish your test. Try everything you can do. And write down a list of things that you really don't know on a spare piece of paper that you prepared beforehand. After writing it down, fold it into as small as possible so that it won't bulge out of your pocket. And in your other pocket, there's a cell phone. Go ahead, go to the ask for permission to go to the bathroom. Once you're in the bathroom, go into one of the locked stalls, never take chances, and go ahead and, start searching up your answers. This is one of the best ways to go ahead and cheat on something else, which I have to admit doesn't really work that well. In fact, if you do this too often, teachers will become a little bit too suspicious. And now for the third point of the pros team, is that cell phones allow the parents, guardians, students, and school officials to go ahead and contact their, guardians and emergency contacts in case of emergencies, which is why a cell phone is always needed and at ready as standby. Let's say you had a heart attack or you got cyberbullied and you need to go home. Well, then you need a phone. Why would I need a phone? To go ahead and call your mother. Why would I need to call my mother? She's your guardian. Yeah, that makes sense. And now for the third point, the cons team, is that cell phones can go ahead and distract students and disrupt classroom activities. When you're distracting students and when you're disrupting classroom activities, there's not much that you can really do about a cell phone. But then when that happens, cell phone privileges are taken away. And not just for this guy, it's taken away for everyone, which will make the guy the least popular guy in the class, and possibly the school. And now the fourth point of the pros team is that, teachers can help students learn how to use their cell phones responsibly. If teachers can go ahead and learn how to teach people how to use those phones responsibly, well, then they will become responsible digital citizens. Until then, though, they're gonna have to go use that cell phone irresponsibly, especially if they're not taught how to use it. Parents are bad at that, but parents are getting smarter nowadays. When we Gen Zers go ahead and become parents someday soon, which some of us are probably not likely going to be parents, we will go ahead and teach them how to use a cell phone responsibly, as well as I'm gonna teach my kids how to cheat. Just kidding. No one's gonna go ahead and teach their kids how to cheat. The fourth point of of the cons team is that students can always use these cell phones in the classroom to cyberbully people, to send a message to someone else to go and cyberbully people too. And always remember, this stance is suspicious. If something is underneath the table and the student is looking at it intently, it is one of these two things. Number one, it's a digital device and then using it irresponsibly. Number two, it's a really, really fun book. I hope to see you guys soon. What is your opinion on should cell phones be allowed in the classrooms? In my opinion, though, it shouldn't be allowed in the classrooms, but it should be allowed outside the classrooms. Until then, until the next one, Shana, peace. Bye-bye!